button
I have a
here.
question. Oh,
All
All
righty.
right.
okay.
So
I want,
I
if I want to, I have a question. If I want to share, just project it. It's in pages. How do I do that exactly?
it's up to you if you just want to read it or if you want to put it on the screen for
Yeah,
accessibility
I think
purposes.
I just want to put it on the screen, but I'm not
Yep, you
sure.
can click share screen at the bottom when it's
Yeah.
your turn.
Okay, and
Yeah,
then
whenever
just pull it up.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
whenever
we'll
it's your
we'll
turn.
troubleshoot that when we get there, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I've never done it before, so I didn't.
No worries. We'll be here to help
You know,
anyone.
I'm not techie.
This is
It can't
this
be
is
everything. It can't
this is
be
new
everything.
for this
Okay.
is new for all of us, Deb. This is new for all of us.
Okay. All right.
Alrighty, so
Okay.
I'm Francis Bates. You probably received an email from me or Kelly Frankenberg about this session. We're going to be doing reading. You don't have to participate. You can just be here to listen. I have a couple poems that I'm going to share. I am to introduce myself. I do a variety of things for Art to Change the World, but the main things are helping with the Foxden Gallery at Solar Arts and PR and social media. So kind of helping with branding and getting the word out there. I'm a go-getter, as many of you know. So, um,
Very
yeah,
definitely.
I guess we'll just start here. I'm going to share my screen.
So Francis, you told me earlier that we're going to just listen and then maybe talk at the end, give feedback at the end. How did you decide to do this?
Yeah, so I figured if people we have a couple of people who want to share, and I figured it might be talking with Barbara and Kelly, that it might be easier if we just have people take notes with any feedback or questions they want, and hold them to the end so we can make sure the people who came here to share are able to share something, especially because some of the questions or feedback might relate to more than one person. Um, so I figured that that would be the best way to do it, is kind of wait until the end. So then each individual can just say, read their piece. We're hoping to keep these to 3 minute long sharing times, just so that anyone who wants to share can. Um, so if your piece goes a little bit longer, but if you have a piece that has more pages, I don't know who's read out their piece to test, time yourself or whatever. If it's within 3 minutes, that's okay. But if you have a piece that might go a little bit longer than that, then maybe you read a section, that you're proud of, or you're looking for feedback specifically on, or, that you kind of want to focus on. Um, and yeah, so we can kind of just go from there and play it by ear. And this session does go till 7, but and so anyone who needs to sign off right at 7 can feel free. Otherwise, we can kind of see how people feel. If they want more time, maybe we need more time for feedback or questions. Because I can stay a little bit longer if anyone needs that. So cool.
Cool.
Alrighty. Let me just share my screen here. Okay. So this is directly from my website portfolio. I have 2 poems on here that I can read. This one is from middle school. I had my middle school did a book that I put photos of artwork, and anyone could submit written or to it. So this is called Time. If only we could go back in time, we could fix all our mistakes, wrong choices, and reactions. Then we could be perfect. But now that I think about it, would it be a good thing to be perfect? Isn't it what makes us human to be imperfect? We will have to see what time brings us. Maybe it will bring us the power to time travel. Maybe not. Whatever the answer, I hope it is good for humanity.
Nice.
Thank you.
Very nice.
And then my next piece was, I think it was freshman or sophomore year of college, for National Coming Out Day. I'm part of the LGBT community, and we had a event where you could, people were offered a mic to speak. So I just wrote a kind of poem statement kind of thing for it. Look here, I'm queer. Don't steer clear. Have no fear. Embrace this atmosphere. I like art, pretty smart. Have lots of heart. So why depart? Don't judge with one glance. Just give me a chance. Come on, let's dance. This music has me in a trance. You look at me weird, but this is how I'm engineered. I did not volunteer. I just appeared. We are not an exam. I shouldn't have to draw a diagram. I love who I am. Can you tell me the same, fam?
Whoa.
Whoa, that is a
Some deep thought, random college. So, yeah, so those are just two pieces that I wrote. I can popcorn to the next person unless someone is interested in going next.
I can go next. Alchemy also has written something that they will post in the chat. Maybe you can read it for them.
Yeah, I totally
said that's okay. So, well, maybe while they're posting, I can go next, I guess. Okay, so this is from, let me see if I can spotlight. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to read a piece from my memoir called Diary of a Gay Pregnant Bride. And I published this in, I think, 2016, 2015. So I'm going to start from a chapter called Cake. All right. Donna and I wanted a bachelorette party. Our maids of honor agreed to throw us one last minute. I didn't know what to do for a bachelorette party for two lesbians, Donna's maid of honor, Lori, said. But then I realized you just do what you do for a guy. 2 weeks before the wedding, Lori and Alice threw us a Hawaiian-themed shower bachelorette party. Pink and purple leis and fake palm trees decorated the private room at the restaurant. They made us wear coconut bras over our dresses and grass skirts and sunglasses with parrots on them. They even made us a boob cake. There were 2 mounds of cake covered in light pink frosting that lay on a flatter surface to represent the stomach. 2 dark pink chocolate rings topped off the mounds representing the nipples. A hole was made for a belly button. After the dinner, we went to a local dueling piano bar and sat on stage while 2 pianists played songs and made jokes. Word got around about the bachelorette party. When Donna and I walked out of the piano bar area, a drunk lady in her late 40s came up to us and said, "Oh, congratulations! Which one of you is getting married?" "We both are," we said. "When?" she asked. "On May 6th, we said. "On the same day?" she asked, surprised and excited. "We are getting married to each other," I said. "We're kind of gay," Donna added. There was a pause for the lady's drunk mind to process the information. "Oh, well, I'm so happy for you two. Congratulations," she said and gave us a double hug, but didn't let go of our arms. "You ladies are so beautiful. I'm so happy for you. I'm a Republican, but I have a gay nephew, and I'm very proud. I believe you should be able to get married." "Thank you. I'm just so happy for you," she said and hugged us again. "Okay, we have to go. Thank you," Lori said and pulled us away from the inebriated lady's grip. "Okay, congratulations again and have a wonderful wedding," she yelled loudly as we headed down the hall. "On the same day," Alice laughed and shook her head. It was a nice and respectable bachelorette party. Unlike the one I had thrown my mother 7 years earlier. Spring 2005. Before Mom and Tom married, I thought it would be fun to host a bachelorette party for Mom. I would only invite her 3 sisters, and we could watch a romantic comedy, and it would be a nice girly party. I purposely didn't invite my grandmother. Not that many people's mothers attend their bachelorette party. Mom agreed to attend the party, but made it clear that she didn't want anything sexual. I knew my mother was respectable, yet open and honest. She could talk about sex, but she only got wild and joked about it when she drank a little wine, which was rare. This would not be one of those nights. Problems didn't start until Aunt Quiet showed up with my grandma. I invited myself, my grandma said, giddy. I looked at my aunt and rolled my eyes. I loved my grandma. She was fun. Maybe it wouldn't hurt. I made some pasta and veggies and put cutout magazine pictures of cute young guys in jeans and underwear in the middle of the table, nothing too dirty. It turned out that Aunt Quiet, who I now call Aunt Wild, and my grandma had stopped at the sex shop before coming to the party. They had picked up a bunch of dirty gifts for my mom and a pink cake in the shape of a penis. Oh no, I said under my breath to Aunt Giggly. She gave me a look of full teeth to say yikes. Mom's face looked respectful, though it said disgust. She opened one of the themed gifts. Edible candy underwear, a penis bouquet, orgasm sounds keychain, handcuffs, suckers, etc. The sign by the counter said, yeah, we know it's not for you. And I told the guy, actually, it's for me, my grandma said, proud. My eyes widened and I looked at my aunts. Until now, I wasn't aware my grandmother was so explicitly sexual, and I would have liked to have died without learning that.
That was great.
That was great.
Great.
Yay.
So looks like Alchemy was able to post theirs in the chat. It's a poem that they wrote recently. We'll see if they said the formatting is a little off, but I'll just read it out how I see it. Fluffy snowflakes drifting down to land on our faces and hands. Warm glow through snow-covered trees, casting patterns on the glittery ground. Dark skies underlined with city lights, our laughter mixing in the night.
Ooh, so
Nice.
lovely. And I'm so happy I'm not seeing those snowflakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're in Mexico.
We are
so-
angels. There's still some on the ground, but it's spring-like around here.
All right.
Weird.
Anyone else looking to go next?
Go.
Go for it.
Is this me?
Yeah.
Is this me that you're saying go for it?
Yeah, go for it.
There I am. Yikes. Okay. This is something I wrote recently that was part of a performance for an exhibition that I had with a bunch of my studio mates. And so at the end of this, I actually sing a song, but I'm not going to be doing that today. It's called Finding My Life Force Through Song. I learned to play guitar with my sisters when I was 11 years old. During high school, I ran track, took choir, acting classes, and began writing songs and playing for my friends at basement parties in Wisconsin. Yes, I'm that 70s show. In college, I majored in art as an obvious choice, given that I grew up under the influence of my father, the political cartoonist. I had no idea how an art degree would make an income, but I knew I had to follow my joy rather than a paycheck. I planted art in the center of my life with determination that it was my life's purpose. In my 30s, I finally gave up waitressing, got a master's degree, and began teaching. During my 40s, life was all about raising kids, working, volunteering, and making art. And in my 50s, I was building open ground studios, which eventually gave me the courage to release my identity as a printmaker to follow my dream to become a painter. 4 days after my 59th birthday, I headed to Stanford for an MRI at the exact same time that our nation's capital was under siege, while the pandemic was raging. Within 24 hours, my heartache went from global crisis to national to personal when I learned I likely had ovarian cancer that had spread throughout my abdomen. Since that moment, an invisible timeline seems to be threaded through my very existence. 2 weeks later, I had a 12-inch midline incision, followed by a 9-hour abdominal surgery, which left my weight at 86 pounds and my body in a metamorphosis of epic proportion. Gratitude for love, family, and community became my elixir, and art was my muse that propelled me back to wellness. After more than 18 months of recovery, rehabilitation, and making a lot of art, I was far from feeling whole in my body, but my heart was overflowing with a renewed love for life. During my daily dog walks, I would listen to my playlist of big songs while dancing down the streets. I tried to sing along, but my voice was long gone. Even having brief conversations drained all of my energy. I was a warrior without her voice. Then one day, I had a transcendent moment. I was indulging in my guilty pleasure of watching America's Got Talent singing auditions while working out on our rowing machine. A kid walks onto the stage and tells their story, and I'm immediately curious and charmed by their presence. And I'm rowing, and I'm breathing, and the song begins, and I'm instantly transfixed by their voice and the words coming out of their mouth. And I'm rowing, and all of a sudden my abdominal muscles start to go into spasm, and it's shocking. It's a sensation that I haven't felt, and it makes me nervous, and I'm excited, and I realize that my core is coming back to life. So I keep rowing harder, and the kid keeps belting out this amazing song, and I can almost see his body instrument of expression moving from their core, powering up through their body and into their vocal cords and passing out through their mouth and into the world and crashing into my heart. And I'm rowing and I'm crying, and the audience, and he's singing, and the audience is going wild. And I knew at that moment I could bring back my life force if I could reclaim my voice again. And that meant I had to learn to sing. During these past 8 months of voice lessons with the amazing Norma Mayer, I've been moved to tears with wonder of my own body's capacity to grow and heal from the inside out. And I'm certain that it is never, ever too late to learn something new, and that even in the darkest of moments, there's light to be found when we lean into our joy.
Thank you.
So glad you shared that.
Very nice.
Amazing. All right.
Denise, you just made me cry.
It's not my intent, but
Good
No,
emotion.
I do love emotion is a good thing.
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm here.
Some good writing should always make you cry. It's okay.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be sad tears. It can just be tears.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulations on so far to this point in your recovery.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right.
Please continue.
It's my plan.
Sounds like we're good on that. I know Deb, you had something. Did you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to share the screen.
Yeah, go for it. We can help you.
See, let's see. So I don't see my desktop in here though.
Put your cursor down at the bottom and it will pop that toolbar up. And the green, its share screen is in bright green.
Well, I know where the share screen is. I just don't know how to get my
Did you click share screen yet? Because it should give you the option to select what you want to share.
Yeah.
Well,
Collect
yeah.
shares. Hit
on.
share screen.
Oh, files.
You have to share the screen first.
I think she's just picking it up. There we go. Okay.
But I'm trying to find. Hold on. Let's see if I can. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna read this, please.
All right.
Yeah, you don't have to share the screen if you don't want to. That's totally
Okay. No. Well, this is the I'm doing little backstories for my characters in my project and to get to know them better. So I thought I'd start writing little stories about them. So this is the one about the nest robber. He knows very well that he should be at his counting table doing his daily business, but here he was, up in this damn tree. He's staring down at the beekeepers, cloaked fully in yellow, in the next field over. Did they see them? Did they see him? Did they not? As he reaches into the nest, his wool leggings are prickling like insanity against the knotty limbs of the tree. Sorry about that. He intends to get an egg this time, but is reach is too measly. He's obviously going to have to climb much higher this time. It seems that the scurvy birds are building higher than they did last spring. Yes, they have it all figured out, but he is nonetheless compelled to get one of their eggs today, if only to spite them. So he grabs the next limb up and pulls himself higher into the tree branches. He's going to try to snatch the booty out of the nest before the insane parents come screeching to dive bomb him again. Has he ever considered that he is a kidnapper and not just a nest robber? It's a higher level of crime and might land him in the stocks at week's end, and he does not care, and he can't help it. He's a kleptomaniac of bird's nests. Well, that's it.
Wow.
Cute.
Thank you for sharing.
I love the idea. Oh, sorry. I'll share this later.
No, I was going to say.
Back in here. There, okay.
So I think just Barbara and possibly Juliet have stuff to share left.
You want me to go? No making fun of how many icons I have on my desktop.
It's okay.
Okay, now I get it.
I kind of think I might have more than you. Oh, maybe not.
Every time one of my kids gets a peek, their computer specialist, they go, do not let any of your people see that. It's so unprofessional. So, okay, so here we go. It was a 200-word assignment. My father was, and it was about, you were supposed to write about your father's shoes. I don't even remember what my father's shoes, but he was a lumberjack. So that's the direction I went. My father was a Maine lumberjack. I once read that the choice of a car model can be a revealing personality marker. I drive a 14-year-old Ford Flex with 83,000 miles on it. I walk, I bike. My father drove a succession of practical Chevys, always blue. I came to believe that the choice of shoes may offer the same kind of revelation. I wear work boots and fancy dress shoes in Minneapolis. I wear flip-flops and sneakers to play pickleball in Mexico. My father wore calf-high spike boots to work the pine logs, which were harvested with a crosscut saw. They dropped the logs into the Penobscot River and floated them down to Bangor, once the lumber capital of the world and currently the home of author Steve King, who once asked me on a date in college. I said no. Regretful nods to Frost Road Not Taken. I could buy this authentic, hard-worn pair of spiked 1940s lumberjack boots on Etsy for $199. Being a visual artist, I would like to see the use of images welcomed into the lexicon of creative nonfiction writing, which already breaks so many old school rules. Let's just break one more.
Nice.
Right.
Really nice.
All right, Juliet, you want to go?
Come on, Juliet. We want to hear
it.
Oh, Sam has also arrived.
Hey, so sorry. I'm so sorry I'm late.
That's
so
okay.
sorry.
Well, if you have something to share, then you can go after Juliet. Juliet, you ready?
Okay. Yep, sounds good.
Well, okay. What I have is a little short, just a little poem. Okay. Sorry. I love you, yet I don't love myself. Well, not all the time. So, so many words come crashing forth like the waves of the ocean, the ones that hold me down, ebbing, flowing, ever come and going, flying higher, higher, like the geese, journeying home north. Northern, that's what I used to be, a northern girl. Now I'm just stuck up here in the north, not beside my ocean.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
Wow.
All right, Sam, if you're ready, if you got something.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, because I can turn up the sound. It seems to go down by itself whenever it wants to, but okay. Okay. Warmly, it's another day, and the planet is still heating up. Blow out the candles on the birthday cake. 2 million years older and none the wiser. As the sun sets on the Tetons, or was it the Badlands? Oh, Goldilocks, blow out yon cascading blonde ringlets. 20 million air conditioners in New York City shoot heat out into the streets. Antarctica, the coldest place on Earth, 74 the other day. Coastal cities uninhabitable, you say? Green bananas sit for days on end on the counter, then suddenly go pop all at once. Stone Arch Bridge, the best place to view sunset from Minneapolis, a town in Washington, spontaneously combusts. Blow out the candles on the birthday cake, honey. Let's go watch Hocus Pocus on the telly. Okay, so kind of a climate change
Wow.
poem.
Thanks.
Interesting. Yeah.
I like the green banana part.
Super cool, Sam. So just so you know why we're not responding, we'll wait until the end to respond to everybody.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Did anyone else come up with something that they would like to read or want to share in any way? It's okay, no pressure. This is a relaxed setting. I was thrown into it to be like, hey, can you lead this? So I was like, well, I got some poems, I guess I could read.
Debbie, do you have another character? Do you have another
No,
character?
I just started doing these, so
Okay.
but
It would be nice to hear Toberson's story,
well,
you know.
I'm getting there. I
Okay.
just thought I'd start out with the scenes that I'm gonna build next. So, it's kind of like doing it visually and doing it literally and going back and forth. So I'm just starting to do this, started in the process.
Yeah, it's really interesting to come up with like storylines for art, because it's like, as a 3D artist, Deb and I and Barbara, we're all like mixed media artists, 3D artists, and it's always interesting, I feel like, looking at our descriptions of our art, because I think all of us will often just like make the art with, like, sometimes we have a concept in our head, but it's like it comes to life and then we write a story. So it's always interesting to see the difference between like other types of artists, is like how like the sculptural versus like a painter. I feel like usually there's more like planning, because you have to pick the colors, and you like, are you going to do a landscape or a portrait or whatever? But it's like with the sculpture, it can like take a mind of its own.
Well, I'll be interested in how it conforms, how the image conforms to the writing, or the writing conforms to the image, and it probably will change a lot in between. But this is just a start. And I thought I'd throw it out there just to, see what comes to mind, like an association thing. Yeah.
So Francis, I took notes on all the readers.
Mm-hmm.
How about if I go down, since I've got the list all written in front of me, and say my line of feedback, and then everybody else can say what they think about Francis' thing, or what does that seem?
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of whoever wants to give feedback on anything.
Okay. So here's what I thought about Francis. I kept thinking imperfection is perfect. That's what I came out of the first one with. I mean, really, we should embrace that concept. And then the judgmental poem, it made me feel bad for that Francis that wrote that people made her feel that way. It's an experience that I've had in different, obviously in different contexts, but why are people so hard on each other? That's my question. So That's what I had to say about
because we're
Frances.
imperfect, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else had thoughts about Frances's?
Why are we so hard on ourselves? Lost count of how many times I wished I could do a take two on a fumbled situation.
Yeah.
And if I could share, I think I'm dealing with some health issues myself. I have stage 5 kidney disease, and I've had some disappointments with people donating and not going through. And I had 2 surgeries scheduled that were canceled. And I have this disease because of out of control high blood pressure and diabetes over the years because I didn't put myself first. And what I'm trying to do is learn to love myself and care for myself like I've done for other people. And I know that's important for me to change because it's not a matter of if I'm gonna get a kidney, it's just a matter of when. And I'm trying to learn how not to control everything and to use actually starting to think about my own writing. I'm a professor now at Minnesota State Mankato. Lord, this is becoming a therapy session, so I'm gonna stop. And so all of my writing is research, and it's like articles of dealing with, some research I've done. And so I've been exploring how do I think about writing as an expression of self and an expression of and how to use it to help me feel okay about where I am and optimistic about my future.
Mm-hmm. And Frances, the thing that I liked about, especially your coming out poem, it was stating some of the turmoil and some of the hurt that's there. But the part that struck me in hindsight is that it's also a beckoning forth. It's a calling for other people. You're inviting them in. It's not just a recognizing the rejection. It's just the opposite, actually. It's an invitation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it also has so much love for the person that doesn't understand. I mean, I think that it's just hearing both of them, one at one time in your life and then the next one at a different time, the growth and the positivity in a way that you show and the strength and I mean that to me is just amazing. As a visual artist as well, I writing is like the hardest thing for me to do. And in school I was always, well, can I just draw it or paint it instead of write about it, like in English classes? Because it was just that's how I could express myself. So I am just it's encouraging to hear everybody speak and even Deb, when I met Deb at one of the art shows and she was showing me some of her sculptures and I kept thinking of the stories in my head. I'm like, oh, this is this and this is this story. And it's just really inspiring to hear it.
Well, that's good to hear. Because that's what I want. I want people to contribute and think about what the story is in their head and their experience, orientation. So, but Frances, I like the rhythm in your writing a lot, and the rhyming is really, it's very charming. But you get the message across very clearly.
Yeah, I think the rhythm and the rhyming and stuff come from like my love of dance and music, and so I think it's kind of like figuring out some of it is more obvious and some of it is more subtle of like um how each line connects, because I think I always liked that in poetry is that like the storyline continued throughout, whether it be through rhyme or it's like about the same thing or something like that. Kind of like how my brain is like, yes, this makes sense because of the previous statement. So
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people think, well, when they're writing poetry, should I rhyme or should I describe or should I think about the rhythm? And I think it kind of all comes together if you think of it as a different thing, like you said, like dance or music,
yeah.
it kind of comes naturally.
All right, well, let's give some feedback to the next person. Barbara,
Kelly. So Kelly's cake was, I loved the stories of the two bachelorette parties and the contrast and the juxtaposition that she created with those two stories. I thought it was super interesting and charming. And I love her descriptive passages, but they weren't too much. Like I get lost when somebody goes on and on with these descriptive passages that are not moving the story forward, where she described just enough about the penis cakes and the, you know, and the boob cakes. And the description was beautiful and lyrical and just enough.
Thank you.
And you could totally see the facial expressions. Like you could see those expressions, like yours, everyone in the thing. I could totally see it play out. And it was, yeah, it was very descriptive, but just enough. Just enough.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also really loved how you read it.
Yes.
It just had, you had a lot of feeling to it, and it just sort of added the bubble. I already liked the writing, but the hearing your voice read it was really excellent.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have relatives who are Republicans?
I think everyone does.
You love them anyway.
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, you can move on to the next person, I guess.
Oh, okay. Alchemy. Like I said, the snowflakes. Oh, the description of the snowflakes. I was, even though I'm sitting here in Mexico looking at a palm tree in the sunset, I could feel those snowflakes coming down. It was beautiful.
Well, Alchemy has been such a great like editorial writer, so it was really nice to hear a poem.
It was. Yeah, Alchemy has written some incredible articles for the newsletter. Beautiful.
It made me wanting more.
Yes.
I take a lot of photos of patterns and trees and shadows. Anywhere I'm at, I always am taking pictures of shadows and things like that. So I could totally just dive right into that poem.
Yeah, you could really feel the emotion behind it. That like, you know, whether or not you connect with Winter is like it's almost more descriptive than that, like that people can make their own kind of experience with it. I thought that was really interesting because it's like, yes, it's about snowflakes, but it's really more powerful than that.
Sam, it's in the chat, okay? If you want to read the poem, it's in the chat, Sam.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm so sorry I missed these.
It's a very good poem.
Yeah.
This session is being recorded, so anyone who wants to go back and kind of listen back or share it with anyone, we are posting these. We have a YouTube channel that we've been putting our sessions.
I was gonna say, given the winter that we've had, it kind of makes me crave snow, which is weird.
Yeah, right.
Like, what's happening? What's happening?
Alchemy says thanks for all the feedback from everyone.
We ready for the next one?
Yeah, let's do it.
So Denise, wow. I really was taken. The first thing that I was really taken with was how you were so, you know, worried about these global concerns, and then then the national concerns, and then the local concerns, and then like, whoa, what's happening to me? Which I think all of us have gone through, and the way that you described it was just very moving, very personal. The recitation of the rowing, you definitely have theatrical skills. That the way that you read it and rowed just really got my attention. And reclaiming your voice, and for the topic that was really pretty serious, I felt uplifted at the end of it.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with
Yay,
that.
thank you.
Yeah, I definitely felt like, I'm sorry.
I was impressed with the caliber of a lot of the language and the words that you used too, Denise. I mean, you used very good, descriptive, powerful words throughout the whole piece. You truly obviously have a good grasp control of the English language, but you did a very good job in descriptive, whatever. And you could really feel. My mother went through the same thing, and so you could, the way you expressed it, the way you put it together, it really allowed me to feel and to bring back, so I could empathize with what you were trying to say too. That's a really good quality that you put forth that way. So
Thank you.
And the process of getting your feeling back that you were talking about, your mind body connection, and how that whole process works was really strong, I thought.
And it had such a physicality to it, where the beginning, you started just slowly coming down to the bottom. And then as you started coming back and you're rowing, the build up, and it's like a song. I mean, you're building up till you belt out that song. So I can totally see the song at the end, because I felt that, I felt the emotion of coming down and then coming back up. And like with the rowing, it's like that fighting to come back and to find that and persevere. And so it had that physicality to the words that I just loved.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then as a person, is your prognosis pretty good now, Denise? Is I hope.
I've just finished 6 months of additional chemo because I had a recurrence.
Okay.
And so, but I am in remission as of now. I'm still dealing with the aftermath of all of that, and I will be on maintenance drugs for a while still.
Okay.
But you know what? I'm finding my voice.
Yeah.
Well, I must say that I'm the lucky one here, because I have heard Denise sing 20 years ago. And I'm just imagining how you sounded after your performance here, and just how you ended it without needing to sing. And I just that's just so special for me to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought about that when I decided that, because I haven't sung. I mean, when I knew you, Kelly, is when I was still singing, but it's been a long time. So it's exciting. Thank you all so much for your feedback. I really appreciate it.
When you smile, when you talk about that, there's a song in your heart. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's so positive. I love
it. All right. Move on to the next person.
Deb, as I almost burst out saying, not following your prompt, Frances, I think it's brilliant to make characters out of, you know how I love backstory. I want more information about the creative process and what you were thinking, and to create these characters and write about them. I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm already thinking about, now, what do I have that I could do that with? Because it lets you go at it from a whole nother direction in terms of process and creativity and thinking. So I thought it was brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like hearing your writing, Deb, after seeing your sculptures and then paintings and then writing. I really like what I'm hearing.
Good. Yeah, it's just a start, but it's like when you're stumped, all of a sudden this other idea comes out from nowhere. It seems like, oh, I should write about it. What am I thinking? Of course. And that's what started me doing that. Plus, I'm getting into my writing again, which is really great and feels great.
Good.
I also really felt like there were a lot of visuals to your story. Like as you read it, I was just, so I didn't, I don't know any of you all, but I hear a lot of you are artists. And so it doesn't surprise me that there's going to be these visuals when you're doing character development, sort of like when you're creating your artwork, you've got to create that backstory too. So it was kind of neat to see it, not just hear it.
So I want to hear a story of the matron. I want to hear a story of Toberson.
It's honestly
so many. I'm waiting.
This is all percolating, Yeah. There will be more.
Well, I think the story is already there. It's interesting that I've always thought with Deb's work is that it always comes together with a story. Like your art is this big, with this whole person concept is like where your all of your art pieces branch off of that in some way. So I think that's really interesting that you're now kind of like writing down that story you've always kind of had in your head.
Yeah, it's like it's been in there for like years and years, but it's like just uncovering something, which is really exciting.
Let me know when your coffee table book comes out, Deb.
Okay.
So I think
The
it's
book.
Barbara next.
Yeah, go ahead, Kelly.
All right, Barbara, I read your story before. And I love that you put the visual in there. It makes an illustrator of a book excited that there's a visual along with the words. Of course, I always love when she says Steve King because it just makes it so personal to her story. And I don't know, I really like the way that you write. It's very concise and to the point and kind of how you talk, and it's entertaining. Your voice comes out.
Thank you.
I thought it was really powerful too with yours to be, you kind of stated you were like, I don't have this strong connection with the shoes that my dad wore or whatever, but you were able to come up with something really meaningful because you were like, well, I know this about him, and I know these storylines of the kind of work he did as a lumberjack and stuff, and so I think that's really interesting, kind of concept of like um, the the way you connected to the prompt. You were like, well, I don't know about shoes, but like I do know about this. So
That's very insightful, Francis, because at first I thought, what? I mean, this is a man I don't have a lot of positive memories of. And so it also provided me a positive memory of my dad, right? Which he did do this unique thing. How many people here had a father that was a lumberjack, right? I mean, yeah. So yeah, I thank you. Yeah, of course we all people say, did you make that up about Steve King? And I said, no, I went to the University of Maine. There's only 10,000 people there. He was a writer. I was an artist. The creatives ran around together. It's not weird or, like ridiculous that we knew each other. And back in 1969, we weren't calling each other Steven, and so, but when I used that word, it was deliberate because it was meant to say, yeah, it was a hint of an intimacy that you wouldn't do, right? So I just am starting, as I wrote in here, thinking of writing as a creative activity. I've always hated it because my mind works so rapid fire. Do you find, Francis, that it's hard to slow down enough to edit and rewrite and rewrite? Like I used to hate the editing. And I was told you have to edit it 3 times. Think of it as a painting. Wouldn't you go back into a painting 3 times? Well, yeah, yeah.
like especially for me with the autism and dyslexia combination for my neurodiverse brain, it's that's like why I've always loved sculptures because there is no right or wrong or a spelling mistake or a word
Yeah.
that you make wrong. It's like it's
Yeah.
all great. It's all people are like, ooh, that looks interesting, even if I'm like, oh, that's not finished, or like I didn't really like that one as much. But in writing, it's like I have to focus so much more to make it come to life to the idea that I have in my
Yeah.
head.
No, I'm really starting to embrace it. And you know what, Denise, one of the things that attracted me to this is at some point, like I said, I'm 73 next month. At some point, I'm not going to be able to use my hands, right? And so I want to continue to create. And so with the advent of all the technology, as long as I can talk, I can I can keep creating, right? I can talk it in, yeah. So.
Well, I've always I think a long time ago I came across this idea about editing and how people hate to edit. I don't like to edit either, but it's kind of an opportunity to try on different, like you're trying on different outfits. Like,
Oh, that's a great way to
like
look
I
at it.
could go with this or I could go with that. So it gives you an opportunity to go a different direction. You don't have to stick with the original idea. You can keep original things that you like, but make them into a different place where, so it kind of takes away that resentment of, oh, I gotta change this somehow, you know? So if you think of it that way, maybe that'll open it up for you.
Yeah.
And I also thought about when you're talking about the shoes that you weren't really talking about shoes. You were just kind of talking about, you know, how you walked a different path than your dad. And hearing you say that, you know, shoes can be not just shoes, they can just be how you get somewhere, right? Sometimes. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, the journey.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I talked about the cars first, to draw a parallel about how different we were, right? Yeah, yeah, so.
Okay, and we got some feedback for Sam.
Oh, Juliet first, right?
Juliet was first.
Yeah, Juliet. And when you were reading your poem, I was picturing your paintings, and I was just like in these paintings with you, and I can see the same emotion that comes out in your writing is in your paintings, and it's beautiful.
Can I ask which, like my paintings or my inks?
Well, your inks kind of are your paintings as well when you put the, you know, the alcohol ink in your paintings. But well, I'm thinking most of your acrylic work.
I don't do acrylic.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. So
okay.
Tons at the store.
Okay, sorry.
Since I'm from the ocean, I grew up on the Atlantic Ocean. Of course, I really resonated with everything that you said in there. And it was interesting that the waves holding you down, and that you're not beside your ocean. Are you in Minnesota? Where are you?
I'm in Egan.
Yeah. So I'm in the Midwest as well. Okay. I've been there 30 years in Minneapolis, and I desperately miss my Atlantic Ocean. I grew up right on the ocean. So I get that. I totally get that. Yeah. You really described it beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah, I loved how it wrapped at the end. It was I also really enjoyed how you read it. It was a nice, slow presentation that gave pause to all the words, and it was just it was moving.
Yeah, and the emotion you portrayed in your presentation was very real, very powerful. It was well done.
Thank you. And Barbara, I agree that images should be in writing. Very often when I write, I can show you that, cover up something there. I doodle within my, I don't know if you saw that I actually drew waves. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I can see them.
Yeah. I'll often draw like flowers if I'm talking about a flower, or waves, or whatever I'm writing about. I kind of doodle and draw with them there. So I agree.
Well, as everybody from ACW will tell you, we're the big rule breakers. I never met a rule I didn't want to break that I met. So it's interesting that she pushed back, but the classmate loved it so much. Now they're all putting pictures in there.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So
Well,
who's next?
And actually, Barbara, you helped clarify the type of writing I'm trying to do, because I know that it's called creative nonfiction is what I'm trying to do, and it's all based on pictures. Actually,
Yes.
that's my starting point for all of it.
Don't you think creative nonfiction is an oxymoron? When I first signed up, I thought that's an oxymoron. What the hell is that? So then I realized, oh, it's memoir writing. But I mean, think about that. Creative nonfiction. What does that actually mean? Let's just
the creativity is being able to describe it in the best possible way and make it feel.
Yeah.
Well, so I think it's creative because in my story about the cakes, one of the cakes did not exist, but I added it in. So it's like
there you
I can add in a little bit of stuff, but most of this, like 90% of it is all true.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Artistic license.
Interesting.
So are we ready for Sam? I think her writing is just as full of texture and layers that her visual art is. I was really struck by that.
Yeah, I love you. I love how you write kind of like in a poetry way where there's like lines and precise images, and it's a different way, and it's really nice to hear your voice come through after just seeing your visual work too this year. I really like your writing.
Oh, thank you.
And it was interesting that you were like, oh, it's related to climate change because, like Art to Change the World, one of the projects we've been working on is with the climate change affinity group. And so that's cool that you've kind of like taken something and been inspired by that to kind
Sam, you should join that group.
Oh, which group?
Frances, tell her.
So Margot runs a climate change affinity group, and they just did a thing about the plastic free challenge, but they do different events and or like meetups where they kind of talk about different climate change related topics, and sometimes it's like activists, sometimes it's educational kind of thing. But yeah, I think you would totally fit in that group. That kind of what made me think of it. I was like, oh, that they might like to hear your poem in that.
Well, you should invite her to come and read it.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is the meeting at 5 o'clock, so I'll send you the link.
Where is it at?
Oh, it's a Zoom.
It's a Zoom.
Oh, it's Zoom. Okay.
Yeah.
I should get
Kelly, will you send her the info?
Yep, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I just want to say about this that I was sitting one morning and I just read this book, about it's called The Heat Will Kill Us. And one of the stories was about that couple who went hiking in Yosemite and they died. They died on the hike. They didn't realize if you can't get in any shade, you might, and a baby, and their baby died. So I was just so horrified. I just sat down one morning and I just went, it's another day and the planet's still heating up like that. So
yeah, I saw this interesting, I think it was a TikTok.
Like doing coaching.
That it's no longer global warming, it's global boiling because we're literally boiling ourselves.
And it's actually moved legal.
Like, oh gosh, that's a scary thing to think of.
The United Nations has moved the whole concept of global warming to the inevitability of uninhabitable planet. That's currently the language of the United Nations.
Wow.
Well,
and Sam, I liked your use of paradox in there back and forth, something lost, something gained, whatever, all, juxtaposing the two different values there. The 20 million air conditioners in New York City pumping out heat, and then, contrasting to, the way the world simply 50 years ago is totally different. I'm old enough to remember when the lakes around here were clean and you could drink the water.
Wow.
That's been a long time, long gone.
Yeah, thanks for noticing that oxymoron. And I just want to say, I think it's getting like late, but I think that, you could write a poem about anything because I went to Deb Rip's printmaking class, collagraphs, and I went home and I wrote a poem about it. It was so inspiring.
Yeah, I loved it.
Sam, your poem is very reminiscent of he's Native American and he is a beat poet. I remember hearing his work. I think it's called Boulder, 1978. He talks about how like 50,000 dolphins caught in the dragnet every day, and talks basically about very similar to your poem about thermodynamics of the world, and then this is how long the earth has been alive, and numerics of the world kind of destroying, but also being beautiful and living. I'll see if I can find his name and the poem that he read. It was very beautiful. The way he read it, similar to you as well. So anyways, just a correlation that I heard.
To read it. Yeah, I'd love to read it. Numerically, I was kind of struggling to find out how long have people been on the earth since the cavemen. I mean, who knows that, right? But well, it's on the internet somewhere, but I found it on the internet, but I didn't know it was really true, that was a good figure or not. So yeah, it's interesting. But thank you all for feedback. Thank you. I'm really grateful for it.
So
I'm
my
gonna-
question,
okay.
Sam, is are you going to write us an article about that brilliant idea that you said, you told me I tell people ACW is a guerrilla group? Well, it could be a gorilla group too. I just thought the whole concept could be so interesting and playful. Come
Well, I
on, do
have
it
an
here.
idea. Oh, excuse me. I have an idea in mind for the image, so I'm definitely going to do that. And
Fabulous.
huh? Oh yeah, I'm
Fabulous. I'm
excited. I'm
thrilled.
really excited about the image. And then, yeah, tonight I got an idea for that. Now I forget what it was. Oh shoot, I should have written it down as you guys were talking.
I'm gonna just stop the recording right now, but I wanna